BBC Africa Eye is set to release a documentary which is targeted at lecturers in some West African universities who have been harassing their students for sex in exchange for grades. Expectations for the premiere is fast building up with the hashtag #SexForGrades. It's already trending on social media. The issue of students being haunted by lecturers for sex in exchange for academic favors is common on campuses. Many are hoping that this expose will bring to bear realities on a phenomenon much talked about, but with little evidence to show. The University of Ghana, we understand, has been featured in this explosive documentary. We will be live on campus to get some reactions from students, lecturers, and school authorities. Nancy Emefadra-Dosi is at the University of Ghana campus to get some reactions. We're crossing over to her now.
Well, anymore, I am currently at the University of Ghana, specifically at JQB, somewhere that we understand that is included in this particular expose by the BBC. When I got here earlier, I tried to speak to some of the students, and most of them have stories to share. Most of them tell you that, their roommates have shared stories, their friends have shared stories, but all of them are scared of coming out to speak because of the fear of being victimized. But let me just give you a bit of a background. So in 2011, there was a committee, a 15-member committee that was set up by then the VC of the University of Ghana, Professor Aite, who started this committee basically to look at issues relating to sexual harassment because of how frequent students were reporting. So prior to that, we didn't have that. But in 2017, a policy document was drafted. And in this particular document, the CEGENTA, the Center for Gender Studies at the University of Ghana, was given the mandate to establish a committee to set up a sort of committee that would look into issues of sexual harassment. So in fact, there are about 14 members of this committee as we speak now. This includes a member from the law school, from CEGENTA, there's some from the psychology department, from the counseling and guidance department, and all of these are supposed to listen to students. So students are supposed to go to some of these reps, make formal complaints, and then they're supposed to investigate, and an annual report is supposed to be given to the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Aite back at the time. But that is what's supposed to be done. But I have a few students that I've met who are willing to share stories that of their friends have told them, and a lot of them, well, these girls I have behind me are not really scared of sharing because these are not their personal stories. They say the stories that their best friends, their roommates have also been sharing with them. Let me just get closer to them and ask them really what the stories they have heard. What's your name?
Barbara.
Barbara, what level are you in?
Level 200.
Level 200. You have not been a victim, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so what story have you heard? Who shared the story with you?
Okay, a friend of mine, whose friend was a victim. Yeah, she shared the story with me.
What did she say?
About this girl who was in level 400. Though the relationship started somewhere around 300, So they were in this thing for, like say, a year or so. So when she was about to complete, and the lecturer asked her to get someone to replace her. Yeah. So I've been hearing a lot of things that in my room.
Wait, let's interrogate this further. I want you to break it down for me. So she was in a relationship with the lecturer. Start it all over and then take your time and break it down. Because I don't understand what you say when she was leaving, she had to replace. So tell me exactly what happened.
Yeah. So the thing is, they were having an affair. They were having an affair, yeah. So she, by all means, to go with an exchange for sex. So, exchange for her grades and,
And so why do you say that? She said they asked her to bring a replacement. I didn't get that part.
Yeah, so when she was about to go, and then the lecturer asked her to get someone to replace her because she's leaving, so who would be the one to be satisfying him? Yeah. So, that was what was bothering her, and then she had to discuss with the friend of mine, Yeah. So.
Do you know how all that ended?
Okay, he said he was going to fail her. If she doesn't, she was going to fail her. So an F in your final year, that means you wouldn't be able to complete, right? Yeah, so far as she has completed, yes, so there was someone. And then a lot of people are out there who are willing to. Seriously, there are some girls who are very eager, they are very lazy, and they would want that opportunity. So someone would probably grab that opportunity. So she's done with school.
So you are saying, you are putting the blame on the student?
Not everything the students, because, sometimes with the student. Because if I close from lectures and I go to my hall, I don't have any problem with you. I write my exams and then I pass. Even sometimes it's there are mistakes that's from the computer system, yes, that you can feel. So you go to the person, and when you see where the thing is leading to, they have agencies for those things, yes. So you rather report, or okay, fine, you go for your receipt or something. But some of these girls actually send themselves, in my opinion, seriously.
I'll come back to you, even though the university's guidelines are clear. So let me just say that the University of Ghana's policy states that in no way, in no circumstances, whether it's consensual or by force, should a lecturer have a relationship with a student. That is not supposed to be done. And so whether it was the student that went to the lecturer or the lecturer that went to the student, it is not something that should be happening, because it goes against the University of Ghana's policy. But let me speak to this lady who is also a level 300 student. Your name?
Prisla.
Prisla, have you also been a victim before?
No, I'm not.
But you've heard stories?
I just did, and this particular story is about my lecturer.
Oh, so you're saying that the excerpt that you've seen, the man in that particular story, is your lecturer?
That's my lecturer.
What do you know about him?
I didn't expect this from him. Honestly, I'm very surprised, because he seems strict, too strict for that. Jovial sometimes, but then not too strict for that. But the proof that I've seen, I'm surprised.
Well, I'm sure you are on a platform with your colleagues. What are they saying?
So some are saying that some haven't actually watched the video. They think it's just a student scandal going on, because we students do things like this sometimes. So some are saying we should pray for him. Maybe it's the work of the devil. Some are laughing. They're saying, oh, they finally caught him and stuff like that. So some are against him, some are for him. But then with what I've seen and I can't be for him.
Okay, so you cannot be for him, but you also a level 100 students of the University of Ghana. So in the manual that I talk about, the policy document, it states that one of the mandates of this committee is to ensure that the education goes ahead, goes to students' orientation. We find this policy document in lecture halls, in resident hostels and all of that. But when you came to level 100, were you told about this particular policy? What exactly were you told?
Yeah, we were told that under no circumstances should we have any relationship with any teacher, and then we should learn, like we should focus on education and then become better people in future. When we are done with the lecture in class, that is so, we shouldn't move to their apartments, their residence and all the stuffs.
But have you yourself had the opportunity to see this policy document that we talk about?
Not really.
I'm sure that even before you came to the university, you've heard such stories. Yeah. Has any lecturer approached you yet?
Yes, actually, the other time I was going to a friend of mine outside campus, and the lecturer picked me up and dropped me there. Then onwards, he told me to come and see him in his office and stuffs.
And stuffs? What stuffs?
Anytime I go there, he asked me if I'm okay. If I'm okay, and do I have class, do I have lectures, do I have all the books? If I want to print any stuff, I can come to him and he will do it for me. Yes.
Okay, so let me just find out from you. Please, all of you, I want you to come close to me. If there's a situation where a lecturer starts to make advances at you, do you know who to report to? Do you know what to do?
Yes, I do.
Share with me.
So my auntie is a staff on campus, so I just have to go to her, and I don't think I'll put myself in the situation where a lecturer will try to make such advances to me, because it's a lecturer-student relationship. So you know that you only go to your lecturer if you have problems, and in fact there are TAs around, so if you have problems you can go to the TA or leave the lecturer an email. That's okay. Rather than to give the lecturer the opportunity to get close to you and have that kind of relationship with you.
Okay. What about you are in level 100? If you have an issue, if for instance a lecturer you say that is now disturbing you, do you know who you're supposed to speak to?
Please, no. I don't know. The only one I can speak to is when I go to my mom.
Okay. But do you have, now that you have heard about this, will you take the pin to look for whoever is in charge of this?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Let me also find out from you. You're at level 200, right? And you have heard stories. You have heard people's stories. Do you know who to report to if any lecturer is making advances at you?
Seriously, the truth is no.
Wow. Why? You've never thought about it?
I would say yes. though I've heard stories about it, and then I have this perception like I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'll go and then face this lecturer for him to even kind of have anything to do with me. Seriously, yeah. So.
All right, thank you very much. So, anymore, from here, we'll try and go to the Center for Gender Studies because they are largely in charge of this particular policy document. We also know that the SRC has a representative on the board. We also know that UTAG has a place on the board. And so we're going to try to reach all of these, agencies and these departments where who are in charge of making sure that education goes down to the students, who are supposed to make sure that this policy document goes to everyone. I have tried to ask a lot of people whether they have even seen this document. And they tell me that they have no knowledge. They have no knowledge of this particular policy document that we're talking about. But if you take a very critical look at it, the underlying thing that the University of Ghana states in that policy document is that there is no way, no relationship should occur between a lecturer. So those who are saying that two consenting adults are coming together to take a decision that they want to go out, the university says no. In its policy, there is no way a lecturer should have any form of sexual relationship with any student, even here at the University of Ghana. And so the conversation continues anymore.
And that was MFA Nancy Jado. She's at the University of Ghana ahead of that documentary to be aired tonight, Sex for Grades. It's be on the BBC Africa channel on YouTube at 6 p.m. If you'd like to see the full video, you can go there for that. And we will be bringing you updates in the course of the day. She's able to get in touch with the people that she has promised to.